Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Wow, everyone. I want to welcome you to a very special edition of the show. I want to introduce you to someone. I've been so excited to do this show with Sharon de Ryck. And now the pronunciation, we have gone back and forth, Sharon, on how to pronounce your name. But in the end, what is going to matter? Here's what's going to matter for all of you. I want to introduce you to an incredible intuitive, to somebody that understands what healing energy is at its very core. When you talk about being a Reiki master and a transpersonal therapist, which I was not allowed to be, so maybe have to clear a little resentment on that today, transformative mentor, trauma release therapist, and by the way, taken a journey that includes everything from author, blogger, workshop developer, health and wellness, and starting a center. And I think there was something going on in the 1990s. I really do. Not the whole 1990 thing. We saw things emerge, not to mention the Matrix. But what happened in that energy? And Sharon, you're shaking your head because it is an energy that seemed to come up and come out. Now, the other day, you all have sent me like 50 emails on this because I made a claim that the woman that started it off was Sinead O'Connor in 1990 when she sang "Nothing Compares to You" and what she was talking about. But here we are today, fast forward, everything I've just said about my guest today, the work that covers multiple decades, but also multiple layers, multiple dimensions, and multiple solutions. Today's show, we are getting right in it. This is about mastering the winds of change. Now, for those of you that watched the Oscars or looked at the Oscars, what did you notice about the movies that were nominated? Let's just take a peek. Each and every one of them showed us about contemporary, yet decades ago struggles. The Brutalist. What is it like to be an immigrant to come over? Nora, looking at people in where I grew up, New York City, sex workers, having a different appreciation, having a love story about that. And then you move on all the way through the change. And Demi Moore, I know you didn't win the Oscar, but you need to get a bonus for demonstrating what women are willing to go through to make sure we keep up with the societal things that are telling us. Today, winds of change, we're going to get into it because what is happening? Is this different really? Are we just reliving past decades? Sharon, thank you so much for joining me here today. Powerful, powerful show. I don't know if y'all get to see the Oscars or you follow these films. What I was struck by, the only feel-good movie in the Oscars was Wicked, and that wasn't so feel-good at the end. Thank you for joining me here today. I could spend all day talking with you about the energy of the 90s and what catapulted you to do what you do. But I want to get us to where we are today. I have heard that the landscape is changing rapidly. Here in the United States, it's changing so rapidly, nobody can keep track of what that change is. We don't even understand it. Can you talk about what does this landscape mean and how is this time, these winds of change, are they different from others? Where are you on that?
Okay, yes, the winds of change is definitely different. This is like a tsunami just coming in to our lives. And none of us are going to be sort of exempt from this. We're all going to get touched by it in some way or other. And I want to just talk about the AI especially, because it's very dear to my heart when I go into certain places, for instance, my grocery store, and I notice that let's say there were all mature women at the checkout counters who were cashiers, and they've all lost their jobs. Why? Because AI has taken over, and they now have about 10, I think, self-checkouts. And they have one where you can go and have a person check you out, a cashier. And that's really very alarming, because what's happening to these women? What's happening to the jobs? Where are these unforeseen people that are now going to be left jobless because AI is taking over? And that's something that's really dear to my heart. I went on Saturday to my drug mart, and would you believe it? Every single checkout was closed. And then there was this young kid, and I have to say she's a kid. If she was 18, she was old. And she just was channelless, like more or less like sheep, we're going towards the self-checkout. And she said, now you have to use this. And if you don't know how to use it, I'm here to teach you. And I thought, no, this is getting a little bit too much. And that's where I'm so very worried about what's coming and where we're going right now. I mean, AI, there's nothing wrong with AI. However, if it's going to be displacing us 100%, that would be horrible. I do feel that it's going to have some jobs coming up. However, people have got to be prepared. They've got to understand that maybe in a couple of weeks or months, you're not going to be needed if you're working as a cashier in one of the big department stores, because everybody's going to have a little, how should I say, a little area where they can go and check themselves out. And that's really scary. And then, of course, there's other jobs that are going to be going. The factory workers are going to be no more. We've got robots doing what humans did before. And that what's going to happen is people are not going to be able to pay their bills because they don't have a job. So it's really a very scary thing that's coming our way. And what really scares me about it is the potential it has of getting, especially to children, their creativity. We're a very creative race. We have critical thinking. We can do all these wonderful things. But when AI comes in and the kids no longer have to worry about probably writing an article for the school or an assignment, they're going to go in AI. What's going to happen to their brains? We're going to have non-thinkers, non-critical thinkers. We're going to have people that are like zombies because they won't be doing or using the capacity they've been given at birth to really be resourceful and even to be creative. The creative part of it is very, very important. So that is where I'm coming with mastering the winds of change. People have got to be prepared. And I don't think people really know, Dr. Pat, what's coming down the tubes.
2019, they don't know, but I want to talk about a couple of things. In 2019, Jessica and I had a really transformative thing. We were invited to a music video, and it was surreal. To be in a music video with John Legend and so many other people, Beyonce's folks. I mean, it was just actors that were Alfre Woodard. I mean, it was surreal, but it really did change us. And we got on the plane back. This is 2019, right before COVID. And we looked at each other and I said, we have to create something. We have to create AI for the soul. Because intuitively, I had a sense of this, probably because I watched all the Terminator movies or something. I don't know. But here's where we are today. 2019 couldn't do it then because AI was just 2 letters. But fast forward to where we are now, and we are building out AI for the soul. But to your point, we're not going to be relied on or dependent upon the technology only. Now, I looked at a friend of mine this weekend and I said, why aren't we creating a nonprofit that is directly geared to educating, training people in the field to understand this technology. And then she looked at me and she said, well, what people are you talking about? I think we should really look at people that are 55 and over. And she said, well, why not 50? I said, it doesn't matter, 50, 55. We need to really get the population of people that feel like they're not of value anymore and help them plug in. But this is really more seriously than that, though, Sharon.
It is. Very much so. Because what's going to happen is people are going to feel, as you say, they're not valued anymore. And that's something that everybody wants to feel valued. And on top of that, they're going to be stuck in a sort of a, I don't know, zombie land or something, because they have no jobs. They cannot, nobody wants them. If they just want to take the teenagers and put them in after school and everybody do the 4 or 5 hours. I mean, it's wonderful for the teenagers because they some of them stand there like zombies and just, and they don't even really recognize who's going by while they're checking you out. However, I'm just at a loss sometimes to know exactly what it is that's going to be coming down the tubes. Although someone did say to me, I was talking this over with my son because he's a musician, and he said, Mom, musicians are also going by the wayside. He said, artists are going to go by the wayside as well, because my number 2 son, he works for a corporation, and he said they got him in and they showed him how you can develop and say, oh, I need a hippopotamus with a child on its back, and put it on the computer, and the hippopotamus comes out with the child on its back. Well, they're not going to need a lot of people. And what is really worrisome, these people have got to, let's say, master change. They have got to start thinking critically about their future.
I love what we're talking about, and I want to stick to this point. Last night, the reason I brought up the Oscars was the announcement at the beginning of the Oscars was none of this production has been done with AI. That was their announcement at the beginning of the Oscars. They went out of their way to say everything you're seeing here was done the way we've done it. And it kind of like we're not using AI. And that's important, especially for people in the audience, because you get a camera floating around, they zoom in on you, Sharon, and the next thing you know, there's an AI version of you. But what are we really talking about here? We were talking about becoming so dependent on a machine to think for us that we either learn a new way to think so that machine can adequately represent us, or we just let the machine do all the thinking. I don't know. What do you think? I dread AI in our government. I cringe at government systems.
It's a horrible thought.
Because the Terminator movies and other movies like them are not that far off.
Right. And it's just really a very frightening affair to think of AI coming in and doing all of this. However, one of the things, like you say, I refuse to not be organic. If I'm going to write a story, I don't care how it sounds. It's coming from my heart. And it's exactly, I've been writing like that all of my life, from the time I was in high school, and I'm not going to stop it. And I asked AI, I thought I'll try this out. So I said to AI, I would like to write a children's storybook, and I do have it in my head. I know the whole story that I'm going to be writing. So I threw it in just a few sentences. Well, I got the whole story practically coming out. The only thing is mine is going to be organic because it involves my little nephews and nieces and some of the the animals that they had in their life and how they cared for them and how they loved them. So it's really appealing. And AI did say to me, it's a very good story, and you'll be aimed at the 5 and 8-year-olds, and you will be very successful. And I thought, my goodness, I could see everybody jumping on AI now, writing a book. How do we know the difference?
Well, I mean, this is really critical because we just won, personally, one of my personal brands, I just won a trademark battle for it. And it's about a word that I made up. And of course, now that the word is out there, it's in AI, but I literally made up the word. There is no word in the English language that is unstuckable. That is a word I made up. And yet, because of AI, it's out there now. And people are literally doing what you said, and what they're getting back is they're getting a conversation that's coming from my website. And so here we sit. So my attorney person said to me, she said, you know, Pat, in most cases, I tell you to let it go. But she said, in this case, because this is a brand, you've already creating t-shirt designs, really cool stuff. And she said, we're going to fight it. We're going to issue cease and desist letters, and we're going to go out there. And I said, why are you so passionate? Why are you equally passionate about this? She said, because in the world that I live, I'm seeing too much of it. But in this case, I think we could stop something. But Sharon, let's get down to business here, because losing jobs, I do not think, I want your opinion, I do not think in the past 100 years, industrial age, going from wagon vehicles with horses to car, I have never seen anything that is so profoundly impacting humanity as AI. But I haven't been around like a million years. But what is your thought of that?
Yes, my thought is that it is going to be very disruptive to the entire human population. And unless people are prepared, we're going to have a lot of suicides. I'm not kidding you. And this is an offshoot of what's going to happen, because when they jobs and their hopelessness starts to rise within the human body and the human mind and emotion, what's going to happen? People are going to say, I no longer can cope in this society.
Yeah.
So what I would say to people is they're going to have to look for positions and new jobs and a way of supporting AI, and whereby they can earn a living. So whatever it is they can do to support an AI run company or whatever it is, without giving of themselves and their heart and their souls to this AI, they're going to have to go and, I would say, take some courses on how they can best work with AI and still keep that human empathy, compassion, because AI doesn't have compassion, doesn't have empathy. You can't see an AI person sitting in a hospital while you've been traumatized or just grief-stricken, rubbing your back or holding your hand. So we're going to need people with empathy and compassion, people that can do a job that AI cannot do for us. Yeah. And we're going to have to come up with some jobs as well. And yeah, think of things.
I had a conversation with my 3 producers this morning, and we were talking about, kind of debating, how should you do a video opener? And I agreed to say to them, okay, if you want to do it your way, go ahead and do it. But what was in the back of my mind this morning, which I didn't share with them, was the fact that I put a post out for someone to hire to help with openers. Do you know what I got back, Sharon? I got 3 of the candidates go into one of my websites, pull images, and create a video and audio opener within 6 minutes. And I said, where'd you get this from? And they said, we now know how to create any sort of video, audio, anything with AI. And I said, you created this video with AI? And they said, yes. And then I asked the $54 million question, how? And they said, you have to hire me. So, but because, you see, we live in this world, and we're all sitting here thinking, oh, it's going to take 2 hours to render. It's going to take 4 hours to render. And I got these 3 people in, I don't know which country, they came from 3 different countries, apparently had access to some kind of, I don't know what. And they went in just to demonstrate to me. They went into the Unstuckable website. And they send me this 60-second video opener back, which was outstanding. But you know what? I'm not willing to take that chance on the products we provide you, our clients. I'm not willing to do that. And I'm also not willing to let people go and have a machine replace them. I wouldn't do it for my doctor. I'm not going to do it for our clients.
No. And you just hit a nail on the head right there. Do you know we're going to have an AI doctor looking at us as well? When I found that out, I thought, no, this can't be true. I know there's a lot of potential in the unseen and the unknown, and for change, it's wonderful. But I don't want that. And also a doctor prescribing medication according to AI, according to what your condition is. This AI is going to say, well, Pat, this is what you need, and here's the prescription, and off you go. Can you imagine living in a world like that? I can't.
I know that it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's coming, but I know we're not prepared. I bought 2 domains because in my country there is, can I just call it natter? I don't have a good word for it. There's nattering going on in our federal government to get rid of Social Security. Mm-hmm. They're already attacking Medicaid here. And I just thought, what are you people thinking? Mm-hmm. What do you mean? That means people like Emily, people like Nat, people like Stefan, people here who have moms that have been out in the workplace, grandmas that have been out in the workplace, and they are counting on Social Security. So when that is removed because of whatever magical, by the way, they're using AI to make these decisions, AI component wipes something out of the picture. I want to ask, okay, Emily, how are you going to take care of mom and dad? Linda, how are you going to take care? Pat, how are you going to take care? Jessica, how are you going to take care? See, we have to have a game plan, Sharon. Don't you think that's what's missing? We don't have a game plan.
We have to have a game plan. Yes, of course. My mind is working ahead of time, and I find sometimes that I have so much going on in it that I can't even get it out properly. However, can you imagine that the AI has no compassion? So therefore, humans are going to be distinct. I mean, not distinct, but just wiped off the face of the earth. Everything that we've ever been and can do for people are going to somehow be frowned on, because the kids are coming in today. They are not aware. All of the children that are here, they're not aware of how important it is to have imagination, resilience, compassion, empathy, just the creative bent of it all. They're all going to go towards AI. So we are just, how should I say, we are growing a new generation of children and people who are going to take over the world. We're not going to be here, but we don't want to leave something like that. That's not the legacy we want to leave for them. Not at all. And I'm not even sure if I answered your question, but
you did answer it, because you and I will have more and more conversations, but we have to talk about, should you switch your career? What is it you should do? The whole cashier thing, that writing was on the wall like day one, right? But it's hard. Now, my doctor, who replaced my 2 knees, Sharon, he uses a robot. Mm-hmm. But in his words, which I can't really say on air, there is no way that me or my colleagues will allow AI to go any further than having my hands in the robot orchestrating your new knee replacements. See, that's the marriage, isn't it?
Yes, you've got to. And that's why I feel that people are going to have to see how they can work in conjunction with AI and keep the humanity, that part of the empathy, the compassion, that part of the humanness, to be human and not give in to everything that with the AI, because AI isn't going to have the compassion. AI isn't going to know exactly how you're feeling. They're just cut and dried. This is what they're doing. And therefore, this is where new positions and new jobs and careers, we're going to have to go into uncharted waters and seas to find those positions that can work alongside of AI in order to keep the humanity and the humans of us still alive and vibrant.
Now, Sharon, I got to ask you this question, but before I do, I want folks to know how they can find out more about you, how they can find out about the books you've written. And, part of what you and I are doing is, for me, I'm getting in a different trajectory I'm going to be relaunching my Power Up with Dr. Pat show because there's too many of these conversations that we need to ask the questions. How do people find out about you? How do they get in touch with you? How do they get copies of things you've done?
Okay, right now I've just gotten myself a new website, and it's SharonDeRyck.com. And on that, they can get everything they want. They can go right to Direct Healing Path Center. They can get my telephone number. They can get my email, and they can find everything that I've done on that website. And thank you. You gave me that great big thought. You planted that thought and that little tree in my head to get that. Quite simple. SharonDeRyck.com. Oh, Sharon de Ryck. Doesn't really matter. One is English, one is Dutch. So we're both right, okay? You say de Ryck, it's both right. So that's all they need to do, and they can just find me there. And if they want to make an appointment to talk, or if they need somebody for a speaking engagement or for workshops, I'm available, so they can also contact me there. So that's quite easy, because all the areas to go through and the hoops, that doesn't work. So that was a great idea, Dr. Pat. Thank you.
You're anytime. And for those of you out there, what we're talking about today is the beginning of a longer conversation that we're going to continue to have. Look, these three people that contacted me with the super 6-minute video openers, their pitch was, just hire us. You don't need producers. That was their pitch.
Wow. Oh, yes. They're redundant.
Just hire it. People. My answer back to them is, when you're available and can do all the things that my three amazing producers could do, plus Jessica, plus Linda, plus Kim, plus Chris, then let's talk. Because in the world of AI, we can be sold a bill of goods that makes it seem. Now, having said that, Sharon, I will tell you that I am looking at AI. I am looking at AI for a lot of what we're doing here. But I'm never going to implement that technology without a real live human being behind the lens of it.
I agree. And that's how I feel, because we're human and we don't want to be replaced by a machine or a computer. We weren't put here by the creator to be replaced anyway. And we just have to hold on to that divine spark within ourselves. And it was funny. I wanted to share something. I would like to share this with you. When I was waking up this morning at about 4 o'clock, I got a message, a very divine message, I think. And I thought, oh, I'll remember that. I'll roll over and go back to sleep. And then I thought, you know what? You keep forgetting everything that you get. So what I did is I wrote it in my journal. And this is what it says. And I had to write it down because it's just so fresh. It said, when people lose their ability to think critically for themselves, it will be the end of humanity as we know it. When their creativity and critical thinking is run by AI, we're hanging on the precipice of extinction. And that is not my words. Those were given to me, and I thought, I better write this down. This is very important. And I thought, well, it came in I guess I got it for today. So I thought I'll just share it. And it's so true. We have got to learn what is coming up, and it's going to be quite a challenge, is how do we work alongside AI, still be human and be compassionate, and make sure that we keep that humanness that we were born with, that excellent feeling of empathy and compassion, all the wonderful, wonderful parts of ourselves, so that while working with AI, AI can do its job, but we're here to add that human capacity onto everything else. And that's how I feel.
Well, that's a great way to really transition. But I will tell you this, a very dear friend of mine and my grandma had similar experiences. They were hired, small women, right? Small women. They were hired to climb into the warships. This was during World War II. They were hired to climb into boats because the men that were welding were not there. And they were hired, Rosie the Riveter, right? That's a real thing. They were hired to crawl in there, horrific, and weld and rivet and create magnificent things. When the war was over, they no longer had a usefulness. And I remember, Ms. Brooks, incredible woman, saying to me, I could have let that loss of job define me. And she said, I didn't. I never stopped welding and riveting, but I created my own art from it. And she became a phenomenal metal artist. It's probably not the right terms. And I think your message today is please don't let the loss of a job, the replacement by AI define you. Redefine yourself.
Oh, that's right. I think so too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you, Sharon. I can't wait to speak with you again. And for those of you out there, here's my message for you. If you walk into a register and cashier and somebody other than a person is checking you out, check your receipt. If you have questions, ask them. If you don't like that transition in a company, in a grocery store, tell them you don't like it. And for those of you out there that pull into your drive-through window to pick up your prescription, ask the question, who filled this prescription? Sharon, thank you.
I never thought of that. Thank you so much.
You have to ask. And sometimes we just roll over, but you've got to ask. Thank you all for tuning us in. Sharon de Ryck, everybody. Thank you. We'll see you next time.